So this question we have, there are two cubes, each of mass capital M, are placed on a separation of D on a frictionless surface. Okay. There's a bullet of mass small m moving horizontally, hits the first cube, and the speed of the bullet before hitting the first cube is given to be u, and it comes out of the first cube with a speed u by 2 in the same direction. Okay. It then hits the second cube and gets stuck in it. Okay, so we have to find how long, after the bullet comes out of the first cube, does the two cubes collide. Okay, so we neglect the time of interaction of the bullet with the cube, and also assume that the bullet hits the cube's face normally. Okay, and the effect of gravity also can be neglected.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, is the answer 2d by u plus 2 into m square minus m square by m square into d.
2d by u into m square
2,
minus m square.
2d by u plus, sir.
Okay, 2d by u plus. Okay.
2 into capital M square minus small m square by capital M square into d.
2 into capital M square minus small m square by capital M square into d.
Yes, sir. In denominator we have u also.
Okay.
In the second step.
You have calculated the time after the
First collision, sir.
After the first collision, right? That is after the bullet has passed the first cube.
Yes, sir.
And the time when the two cubes collide.
Sir, like I did in this way, sir. Like the time taken for the bullet to go have the second collision I calculated, sir. First.
Okay.
Then I calculated the distance moved by the first block.
Okay.
I found out the separation between the two cubes and found the relative velocity.
Okay.
And divide them both to get the time, sir.
Relative velocity and the separation also no? So
yes,
that
sir.
The time from the time taken to collide, you can find from that.
Yes, sir. I did that.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, before and after the collision with the cube, the bullet is having the same velocity, sir.
Before and after the collision
With the first cube, sir.
with the first cube. No, the bullet velocity is changing. No, in the question it is given. No, like before collision with the cube it was u. After collision, after it passes through the cube, its velocity becomes u by 2.
Oh, I couldn't see the two, sir. Okay, sir. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
2d by u into capital M by small m whole square.
D by u into capital M by small m whole square.
2d by u, yes sir.
Okay, 2d by u into capital M by small m whole square. Okay.
Yes sir.
You consider time from the instant the block goes through the cube to the time where the two cubes collide, no?
Yes sir, yes sir.
Okay, so in the given question, like here we have two cubes. The separation between them is given to be d. Okay, bullet strikes the first cube with a speed u, and after the collision, it comes out with the speed u. It's the same bullet, it pierces through the cube, and it emerges out at the other end with the speed u by 2. Okay, so by then this cube will acquire some velocity, and we can find that velocity by using momentum conservation principle. So you can just say small m into u should be equal to capital M into v1 plus m into u by 2. Okay, this v1 is the velocity of the cube just after the bullet has gone through it. Okay, so we get v1. So v1 should come out to be equal to m into u by 2 by cap. Okay, so at the velocity of the first cube and the velocity of the bullet has become u by 2. So it travels the speed u by 2 to hit the second cube. It has to travel a distance d. Okay, so time taken, time after which it will hit the second, you can say time t1 when it hits second cube. Okay, that t1 we can find, that will be equal to d by u. That will be 2 d by. Okay. There's a time, if I'm considering t equal to 0 is the instant when the bullet has gone through the first cube. Okay, then t equal to 2 d by u, it will hit the second cube. And after hitting the second cube, it is given that it gets stuck over there. So it hits the second cube with a speed u by 2, and we are neglecting the effect of gravity, so we'll assume that it goes horizontally only, and it doesn't acquire any vertical component of velocity. Okay, right. So for second collision, that is after bullet hits second cube. Okay, so we will get velocity of the second cube will become v2. So we can say m plus m into v2 from momentum conservation should be equal to small m into u by 2. So this gives you v2 equal to okay. So velocity of the second cube and the velocity of the bullet combined, right, will be mu by 2 by m. Okay. Now here one other thing we can also do is this is a time which has elapsed before the second cube got stuck. Okay. And another thing is in the same time the separation between the bullet and the first cube has increased. Okay. There will be some separation between the bullet and the first cube. That is when it is going to hit here. This first cube won't be here, it will be somewhere here. The position of the first cube will be somewhere. So this separation we can find. This separation, let it be some s. Okay, and now that separation can be also considered to be relative displacement of the bullet with respect to the first cube in this much amount of in a time t1 time. In t1 time, we can find what is the relative separation or relative displacement of the bullet with respect to the. So we can consider s as relative displacement of bullet with respect to first. That should be nothing but t1 into time t1 into relative velocity, which is going to be 2d by u into relative velocity will be velocity of bullet minus velocity of the block. Okay, so that should come out to be u by 2 minus m by m. Okay, so I think this comes out to be equal to d into. So I think the u by 2 will get cancelled. So it will be d into 1 minus m by m. So that will be m minus small m by m. Okay, so that is relative displacement, or it is a separation between the bullet and the cube. But this can be also considered as separation between the two cubes also at the time when the second cube is going to get stuck. Okay, so the instant when the second cube is going to get stuck, separation between the two cubes also will be same as this, d into m minus m. Okay, now what we can do is we want to find after how much more time collision will take place between the two cubes. Now the first cube has this velocity and the second cube has this velocity. Obviously, you can see that v1 is more than v2. Okay, and since v1 is more than v2, there is going to be a collision for sure. So what we can simply do is time t2. T2 is a time taken for second collision, for collision between cubes. For collision between cubes from instant when second cube got stuck. Second cube got hit. Okay, and consider T2 as this. Now this T2 we can find as separation S divided by relative speed between the two cubes, which will be V2 minus V1. Right? So you can simply say that okay. So you can simply say that T2 should be equal to S by V2 V1 minus S by V1 minus V2. But already we got S. S is D into M minus M by N divided by V1 minus V2. Now V1 like we already got as it is come out to be U by 2 into M by M minus V2 will be U by 2 into M by N plus. Okay. So this is what we get. This comes out to be equal to 2D by U. 2D by U. And here we have M minus M by capital M all divided by, and this is going to give you you have M also in the denominator. M comes out like commonly in the denominator, and then we have M plus M minus capital M, that is the small m by M plus. Okay, small m by M plus M, and here this capital M gets cancelled. Okay, so it therefore comes out to be equal to 2D by U or M square U into M square minus. Okay, that comes out to be T. Okay, so the total time is what we want to calculate. We want the time taken from the instant where the first cube got hit till the collision is going to take place between the two cubes. So that should be nothing but T2 plus T1. Okay, T1 that we have calculated earlier and T2 we can add together. Okay? So that time we want to calculate and be given plus. Time will be T1 plus T2, and that will be equal to 2D by U into M square minus M square by small m square, and plus the other time that we got was just 2D by U only. Right? It was just 2D by U only, so plus 1. So on doing this, I think it just comes out to be capital M square by small m square into 2D. Is it clear? Okay. So then is there's a shell of mass small m moving with a velocity u, right? Explodes into two identical fragments. Okay. Now, due to the explosion, the total kinetic energy increases by an amount delta k. Okay. The total kinetic energy increases by an amount delta. Okay. Then we have to find the maximum angle theta max between the directions of motion of both fragments after the explosion. Find the maximum angle theta max between the directions of motion of both the fragments after the explosion.
Sir, what is the value of delta K, sir?
Delta k only you can take as a value. You can, I mean, when you're finding the answers, you can like use delta k itself. You take it as a value only.
Okay, sir.
Sir, is the answer cos inverse of mu square plus 2 delta k by mu square minus 2 delta k.
mu square plus 2 delta k
By
mu square minus 2 delta.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cos inverse. Okay.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
the answer is 1 minus 2 delta Ke by mu square by 1 plus 2 delta Ke mu square by mu square.
1 minus 2 delta Ke by mu square by
By
1 plus
2 delta Ke by mu square is cos
plus
inverse of that.
delta-
Cos inverse of that.
cos inverse of this. Okay. Okay, so the question which is given, there is a shell of mass m, which is moving with the velocity u. It suddenly explodes into two fragments. Each one will be having mass m by 2. Okay, so let us consider that suppose this momentum of this fragment is mu. Momentum of the shell is mu. And the two fragments which have formed here as a result of the explosion, they are moving ends. They are moving with momentums p1 and p2. We have to find this angle, maximum possible angle theta. Theta max is what we want. So from momentum conservation, we can easily say that p bar must be equal to p1 bar plus p2. P1 bar plus P2 bar. And since angle between P1 bar and P2 bar is supposed to be theta, so if we use the formula that we have for resultant of two vectors, okay, that a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cos. So we'll get this p square can be written as p1 square plus p2 square plus 2p1 p2 cos. Okay, so this is the relation between momentum of the shell, original shell, and momentums of the fragments. Okay, another relation we can also get is energy relation. So there's an increase in kinetic energy. Increase in kinetic energy is going to be delta T. Increase in kinetic energy is going to be delta T. Okay, so that means final kinetic energy minus initial kinetic energy should be this delta T. So P1 square plus P2 square minus P square should be delta by 2m, of course. And here I can say that kinetic energy of any fragment can be considered as P square by 2m. So kinetic energy of the two fragments will be P1 square by 2 times m by 2 and P2 square by 2 times m by 2. And here it should be P2 P square by 2. So this should be equal to delta. So from this I think we will get P1 square by m plus P2 square by m minus P square by 2m equal to delta. Okay, or this we can also write as P1 square plus P2 square minus P square by 2 equal to m into that. Okay, we can also say 2p1 square plus P2 square equal to P square plus 2 into m delta. Okay, so this is what we get. So this is one equation. Other equation is about P square and P1 square. Now one thing we can definitely say here is that from the first equation you can see here, from this equation, we know that initial momentum is fixed quantity because initial velocity is given, initial mass is also given. So this P is a fixed quantity. Okay, and another thing is the final kinetic energy of system also must be a fixed quantity because delta K is given. Delta K is a fixed quantity. It is given, is it? So that means I can say P1 square by 2 times m by 2 plus P2 square by 2 times m by 2. Both of these quantities, the sum of these two quantities must be a fixed quantity, which means I can say P1 square plus P2 square also should be a fixed quantity because mass is anyway fixed. Mass of the shell is fixed, right? So P1 square plus P2 square is a fixed quantity. P square is also a fixed quantity, which means the second term 2P1 P2 cos theta also should be a fixed quantity. So that means we have 2P1 P2 cos theta as a fixed quantity. Okay. Now, if this quantity is to be fixed, and if you are looking for maximum possible angle of deflection between the two particles, then cos theta has to be minimum. Okay, we are looking for like a value of cos theta which is minimum, and that could be like when this P1 P2, right, could be maximum. Right, so we will be able to say that when P1 P2 is maximum, then you get cos theta is, or you can also say that will be when theta will be maximum. Okay, so P1 P2 has to be maximum, but we know that P1 square by plus P2 square is fixed. P1 square plus P2 square is fixed. Sum of these two quantities is fixed. Then the product of these two quantities will be maximum when both of them are equal. Okay, I think that we know from AMGM also, like that if the sum of two quantities is fixed, then their product will be maximum when they are both having equal values. Okay, so if you go with that, we'll be able to consider that maximum angle theta will correspond to a case where P1 and P2 are equal. Okay, so we can take P1 and P2 as equal to some PF. We'll consider it as some PF, and then we'll see what the calculations will use. So I'll start by taking P1 and P2, both are equal to some PF. Okay, so P1 equal to P2 equal to some PF. Then I'll get one equation is P square equal to 2 PF square plus PF square into cos. 2 PF square plus 2 PF square into cos, because P1 and P2 are equal anyway. So from this we get PF square will be equal to P square by 2 into 1 plus 1. Okay, PF square is this. And we have one more equation here. This equation also we can use. So here we have this equation. 2p here 2p, this gives you 2pf square. 2 times 2pf square is equal to p square plus 2m delta. Okay, so this gives you pf square equal to p square plus 2m delta k by 4. Okay, so this quantity must be equal to this one. Okay, because we can equate pf square in both of these equations we get. So that means you will get something like p square by 2 into 1 plus cos theta equals to p square plus 2m delta k by 4. Okay, but what is p? P is nothing but mu. P is mu, so we can replace p with mu, and then this gives us what is the maximum value of cos theta. Because this expression, on solving, on simplifying further, you will get what is cos theta max. Okay, the maximum cos theta corresponds to the maximum. Okay, so that means if you rewrite these expressions again once again, so the expression will give you this is 2p square is equal to p square into 1 plus cos theta plus 2m delta k into 1 plus. Okay, so that gives you p square cos theta, and here you have 2m delta k cos theta. So it is like cos theta into p square plus 2m delta k. Okay, that should be equal to. On the other hand, here we have 2p square, right? And here we have 2m, 2p square, and 2p square and p square becomes p square. So p square minus 2m. So the equation becomes p square minus 2m delta k equal to cos theta into p square plus 2m. So cos theta comes out to be cos theta max. You can say. So it comes out to be equal to p square minus 2m delta k by p square plus 2m. Okay. Now we know what is p. P is momentum of the shell, original shell, which is equal to m. Right. I think that should come out to be equal to, if you take p as mu, you will get I think mu square minus 2 delta k by mu square minus 2. One m term will get cancelled. Okay, because these are the given quantities. Like we wanted to find what is the maximum angle theta max in terms of the given parameters, like the mass of the shell, initial velocity, and kinetic energy, change in kinetic energy. They are the given parameters. Is it here?
So cos theta can be negative also now, sir.
Cos theta can be negative also.
So in the before case you told that if theta is maximum then cos theta should be minimum.
Yes.
In the before case, like I can still hold on to that case even if theta is negative also. See, because even if theta is negative, what you will get is the equation will be p square equal to p1 square plus p2 square minus 2 p1 p2 cos theta. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You will get negative. That term will be 2 p1 p2 cos theta will be a negative term.
Yes, sir.
The value of the 2 p1 p2 cos theta which you get, no, the modulus of that quantity. Because we are looking for a product. The product is a fixed quantity, and the product will have a maximum magnitude. The product has a fixed magnitude. So, if your cos theta's value is maximum, because generally what you will find is you can expect that angle theta between the two. If you take a smaller value, okay, you will get negative values in that. Okay, because like cos theta values, if you see, it will be close to 0, for angles near 90. On either sides, whether it is acute angle or obtuse angle.
Sir, by this equation we are getting that theta should be always less than 90 degrees.
It should be always less than 90 degrees. But how?
Okay, we can't say this.
We can't. I think we can't say that.
We can't.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, is it not possible to have a case where the angle between them is 180 degrees? Like one particle is moving forward and the other one moves backward.
But then if one particle is moving forward and other is moving backwards, okay.
Yes, sir.
Is it possible then?
So then K should be greater than mu square by 2, sir.
Yeah. K should be better because if they are moving in opposite directions, they cannot have same speeds.
So not with same speeds.
They cannot have same speeds because that's not possible because momentum won't be conserved of this.
So let's say the particle splits and then the one which is moving forward is moving with 3u and the one which is moving backward will move with u. In this case, the momentum is conserved, right?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, so if we take this, then we'll get delta k to be equal to 2mu square.
Mm-hmm.
And if we plug that in the answer, the final expression that we got, we won't get cos theta as -1.
You won't get cos theta equal to -1. So which means like if there is a fixed amount of delta k that is given, for that delta k, you won't get that particular case for which cos theta is maximum.
But even if delta k is larger than this, I can still just...
We are considering here that there is a fixed delta k. Okay, delta k is fixed and that cannot be more than what is given. Okay, so for that fixed delta k, we want to see what is the maximum possible case where angle theta between them can be maximum. So if you take the case of 180 degrees, and if you are thinking that some final momentums both the bodies are having, and then if you calculate what is the maximum kinetic energy or the difference in kinetic energy, final minus initial, should come out to be what is given as delta.
Yes, sir.
So if you see that it adheres to what is a given condition, then do we get a value of cos theta more than what we are finding here, or value of cos theta less than like what we are finding? Because like here we are getting a value something like mu square minus 2 delta k, by where mu square and mu square is basically the initial kinetic energy.
Okay, sir.
Because you put value because it has to ensure you may take one possibility of 3 mu and mu. Okay, that is if they are at 180 degree angle, because in that case also you will get that angle between them will be 180 and momentum is also conserved.
Yes, sir.
In that case, we calculate kinetic energy, final kinetic energy and initial kinetic energy. The difference in kinetic energy should be equal to delta k. So like you cannot actually take 3 mu and mu as a possibility. You may have to take some other values. You have to take some values wherein delta k is going to figure in. Because then only when you calculate change in difference in kinetic energy, you will get delta k.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Okay, right. So for today, like we will end the session here. We'll continue in the next session.